You hear an awful lot of people these days talk about the red pill, about the blue pill, about the black pill, as if we've discovered something new about mankind in the last 10 years, as if the internet has gifted us insight into the struggle the genders have in relating to each other that we've never discovered before. But of course, this is not true. The internet is discovering nothing new, nothing that the German incels in the 19th century have not discovered. So what we're going to do today is to dive into the works of a German incel, of a German chud named Arthur Schopenhauer, who had some very strong opinions on the opposite sex, very strong opinions on women and how the genders relate to each other, that shows us that people were discussing red pills hundreds of years before we were even a glint in our father's eye. So to set the stage for this, we should take a look at some of Schopenhauer's foundational thinking and foundational principles, because this informs us an awful lot about his perspective on women. He was a philosopher after all, and he saw how the genders manifest in our relationship to reality. Well, it'll all make sense in a moment, bear with me. You see, Schopenhauer was a yoga bunny. Schopenhauer liked the East and he liked Buddhism, but he was different than those pony-tailed hipsters that you see go out to the East and talk about how they went to Bali and they went to Nepal and they went on a trek and drank some really nice coffee or something like this, and they said it was such a mind-opening experience where they found themselves. Instead, Schopenhauer actually just read what Buddhism was saying. He actually confronted the religion on its own terms, and he discovered a very pessimistic perspective on the world. He discovered that these Buddhists were extremely black-pilled about reality. Most yoga bunnies would present their philosophy of life as live, laugh, love, but Schopenhauer and the Buddha, they were dark yoga bunnies. They had a negative perspective on the world, a pessimistic perspective on the world. And this comes from looking at the way that reality works. I've said all this before, but I will say it again. They look out and they see the circle of life, that thing that people make beautiful songs about in The Lion King. You know, they're like, oh, it's the circle of life. It's so joyful. This is so amazing. Let's participate in this. It sounds so good. It sounds so enticing to come along and participate in the circle of life. But instead, if Schopenhauer was directing The Lion King, what you'd see instead is that, you know, the circle of life involves this poor, innocent, little, feeble child gazelle, this little baby gazelle just wandering around, and then all these lions just jump out of nowhere and just pull its liver out and eat it while it's still bleeding, and the gazelle is screaming like, I'm in so much pain. It even sounds trivial when I say it, because it's literally horrific when you watch this stuff. They scream in agony as their organs are torn out of their body while they're still alive, and their heart is eaten in front of them. It's like a human sacrifice, but it happens every single day. Schopenhauer, the dark yoga bunnies, would see this stuff and they'd be like, that's what life actually is on its fundamental level, and that's savage and that's brutal. That is a bad deal. The pleasure that the lions are getting is okay, but it's not that much compared to the agony that the gazelle is going through. That's exorbitant. It's huge. There's so much pain involved in this little exchange. Overall, it just doesn't weigh up. Life has to be a negative experience. Overall, there's too much suffering and not enough pleasure. And this is where we get to the question of women. Because you see, us men, us dudes, us blokes, we're rational, aren't we? We can sit around and we can observe the world. We can look out our window and we can analyze this jungle. We can watch this scene happen. We can pull up Nature is Metal on Instagram and we can watch these gazelles get murdered ruthlessly. And we can use logical deductions to figure out that, oh my God, the world is evil. We're able to figure that out. We're able to suppress all of these natural instincts inside of us, wanting us to participate in this, hunger that's telling us, go eat the gazelle, go participate, go murder the gazelle, go murder the cow, all that burger you have, kill the cow and just eat the burger. We can suppress all that stuff with the power of our prefrontal cortex, of our rational mind. We can crush that out of ourselves and take responsibility and observe rationally what's going on, and we can realize the true nature of the world, and we can wake up from this. We can become enlightened. We can see that the world is a demonic experience of pain and suffering. And that is great for us until a good-looking woman shows up. And when a good-looking woman shows up, we feel an urge inside of us that is stronger than hunger, that is stronger than anything. We feel our libido switch on, and we get aroused. And all of a sudden, we're hot and heavy. And this is what Buddha would say, is that suffering is a consequence of desire. And desire is a consequence of our attachment to this spinstress, the cycle of samsara, the magic trick that the mother goddess Maya is playing on all of us. We are seduced into participating in nature, which is evil, by the seductions of the feminine. So this is obviously some of the most high-class, sophisticated misogyny you're ever going to come across. Women are the spiritual force of seduction that gets you to engage with the evil of the world. But this is what these guys are saying. This is what this entire religion is all about. This is what this German chud, Schopenhauer, is banging on about. Now, this twisted and hardcore view of nature's plans for us is the core to understanding Schopenhauer and I guess his interpretation of Buddhism. The whole of your life is a trick. There is some seducing witch called nature that is playing a trick on all of us, getting us to participate into a bummed deal, into a horrific meat mince grinder of pain and suffering that has no purpose. And the whole goal of this trick, the entire way your life is structured, is that nature wants you to create more children so that she can sacrifice them to samsara and torture them. Nature needs more little baby gazelles that she can feed to the lions and more little baby lions that she can make murder each other so that the best one can eat the gazelles. Nature, this little cackling witch, has got some seriously dark plans for us, and she cares nothing about our individual pain or our individual suffering or our lives at all. We are completely irrelevant to her project and her plan. We are merely puppets, pawns in her game. This is quite crazy stuff when you think about it. And so our whole experience of these grand feelings of love, of romance, these things that we talk about, of marriage, of relationships, the way that people try to get purpose out of them. People sort of say to themselves, I want to get married because I want to have a purpose. I want to have a family. I want to have all these types of things. Now, caveat, of course, I'm a Nietzschean, and Nietzsche was responding to an awful lot of these very dark thoughts with an opposing, polarizing view that was pro-life and with life and affirming of life, that was actually affirming nature. That was Nietzsche's answer to this. But Nietzsche was an ardent student of Schopenhauer because you can't properly fight as a Jedi for the light unless you've embraced the darkness, unless you've actually seen what is the dark side. And Schopenhauer, and I guess you could say the Buddhists a little bit, are this representation of the dark side. And so the reason why I said that caveat is because Schopenhauer is pointing to all these treasured feelings that we have of love, of romance, of creating stable relationships, of creating children, of participating in these goals, these purposeful goals that we all have. These goals where we say, well, we must have kids because kids are the most important thing in the world. You hear people say this stuff all the time. Oh, my kids give my life meaning. Well, of course they do. That's what nature wants. Nature wants you to feel like this life has meaning, but it does not. This life is evil. This life does not have any meaning other than you creating more either demons or victims to participate in the meat grinder. And all the love that you felt when you were younger, that attraction you felt for someone, that you gave so much meaning, that led you to create children, had no meaning either. It had no purpose. It had nothing going for it at all. In fact, it was a trick played on you by nature to keep the meat grinder going. This schizophrenic, irrational meat grinder that the Buddha said, why don't we just fucking detach from this shit? I'm not playing in this game anymore. Buddha's just sitting there meditating, and he's like, wait a second, this is all fucking stupid. Like, I'm not playing in this game anymore. You haven't realized that yet. You haven't become rational and objective. You haven't segregated yourself from the terrible suffering of the world. And for this reason, you cannot see the meat grinder for what it is, so you're seduced into participating in it. You meet somebody else. They're beautiful. Of course, they're only beautiful because they're young, and they're only beautiful because they're signaling to you that certain faculties they have would lead to good breeding. They've got big boobs, or they've got a high testosterone, so they've got a good square jaw, they've got big strong muscles. They look beautiful because they're signaling to you that they're healthy and natural and strong in the natural world. If they're full of testosterone, it means that they can murder lots of gazelles for you. If you've got big boobs, that means you can give your child loads of milk and fill your child, make its brain go big so it can kill lots of more gazelles. But none of this stuff has got any type of objective, platonic idea of beauty at all. It's not like an art painting or something like this. None of this stuff is like this. This is just you being attracted to, big mammary glands, these big, jiggling organs off people's bodies, these like weird things that don't make any sense. You're attracted to an illusion, to a dream. And so these big jiggling tits or these big strong biceps, these seduce you into participating in nature's plan. And you rationalize, you make up stories to yourself that this has some type of meaning. Or you say, oh, I found the one. I found my life partner. I'm in love. You feel this rush of oxytocin that is getting you to participate in this ritual that's going to create children. And you say crazy stuff to yourself like, this is the one. This is who I care about. This is right. This is the one for me. You make up some type of profound destiny that is not true at all. That is complete nonsense. It's not there. It's not real. All because nature wants you to. Nature's flooding you with oxytocin. You have sex with somebody, nature's going to fill you full of all these chemicals to make you bond with them. There's nothing magical happening here. There's no destiny, there's no plan, there's no God ordering your relationship, there's no purpose. This is just you feeling nature seducing you. Because nature has a goal that's beyond you. Nature wants those children that she can sacrifice to the meat grinder. And when she gets them, she doesn't give a fuck about you at all. You are a slave to her goals. And this is what you see happening in these relationships. And Schopenhauer has a quote here. This is Schopenhauer now. With girls, nature has had in view what is called, in a dramatic sense, a striking effect. For she endows them for a few years with a richness of beauty and a fullness of charm, at the expense of the rest of her life, so that they may during these years ensnare the fantasy of a man to such a degree as to make him rush into taking the honourable care of them, in some kind of form, for a lifetime. A step which would not even seem sufficiently justified if he only considered the reality of what was happening. Accordingly, nature has furnished woman, has created woman, as she has created the rest of her creatures, with the weapons and implements necessary for the protection of her existence, and for just the length of time that they will be of service to her, so that nature has proceeded here with her usual economy. Just as the female ant, after sex, loses her wings. After the female ant gets pregnant, she loses her wings, which have at that point become useless. She no longer needs to fly. She's now the queen. They might even be in the way. They're a waste of energy for breeding purposes. So she drops them. You see the exact same thing in a woman. A woman is beautiful. This is her wings. This is her tool that she needs in order to ensnare a man, seduce a man towards this project of life. And when she's given birth to 1 or 2 or 3 children, her beauty fades, her beauty drops. These implements that nature uses are cast off, and she turns into a blob, and probably for the same reasons as Schopenhauer says. Whoa, okay, that goes hard. And this shows you that Schopenhauer's not just giving women a bash for no reason. He's sort of pointing out that nature exploits women just as much as men. Man's problem is he gets seduced by fantasies. He looks at this woman and her beauty charms him. And because of this charm, he says to himself, right, well, I'll marry this girl and I'll keep her for life. His original decision was based on the fact that she was beautiful. But then, of course, she ensnares him. She gives him her body in the prime of her youth, and then they have a couple of kids, and then she starts to get chubby, and she starts to lose all that shape, and her boobs sag, and she starts to become disgusting and decrepit, because she's morphing into a mother. She's morphing into somebody who can, handle the kids and take care of the kids. She's changing into something else, something that is functional for the preservations of life, because her beauty doesn't matter. Her ego doesn't matter. The man's desires for a beautiful wife for the end of time does not matter. None of this stuff matters. None of this stuff is important to nature. Nature's goal is not the individual satisfaction of the individual, of the ego. None of that stuff matters to her. Nature just wants children, human sacrifices that she can shove into the meat grinder. That's all she cares about. And so what nature does is she gives the woman beauty for a time that it is useful, and then she takes it away from her the second that she's become pregnant. The second she has a couple of babies, boom, beauty no longer needed, project sorted out. Just make sure that these kids grow up nice and full of flubber and fat so we can feed them to some demon, or make them big and strong so they can be the demon I want to crush the world and cause more suffering, says nature.